Has Queen Camilla finally met her greatest rival? After years of fighting for acceptance, she now faces Kate Middleton, whose effortless popularity is reshaping the monarchy. As King Charles struggles to maintain balance, tensions are quietly building. Is history repeating itself with yet another royal divide? Has Camilla's role been eclipsed by Kate's rising influence? And how will Charles respond as the monarchy's future unfolds? Throughout history, the British monarchy has been no stranger to internal conflicts. Behind the grandeur of royal palaces and the carefully maintained public image, there have always been power struggles, personal tensions, and shifting dynamics within the family. While much of it remains behind closed doors, certain moments have made their way into the public eye, shaping the perception of the monarchy for generations. Today, whispers of discord within the royal household have resurfaced, with Queen Camilla and Princess Kate Middleton at the center of speculation. For centuries, the monarchy has been shaped by relationships both within and outside the family. In the early 20th century, King Edward VIII famously abdicated the throne in 1936 to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee whom the royal family disapproved of. His decision not only changed the course of history, but also created one of the biggest crises in modern royal history. It left his younger brother, King George VI, in a position he never expected, leading to a reorganization of the monarchy that would ultimately shape the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Even decades later, tensions within the royal family persisted. Queen Elizabeth II herself had her share of family conflicts, particularly with her younger sister, Princess Margaret. The two had a close bond, yet Margaret's personal choices often clashed with the rigid expectations of the crown. Her romantic involvement with Peter Townsend, a divorced war hero, created a constitutional dilemma, leading to heartbreak and personal sacrifice. The monarchy's firm stance on tradition had once again overruled personal desires, reinforcing the idea that duty always came before individual happiness. Similar challenges continued into the late 20th century, with the most infamous being the strained relationship between Princess Diana and Prince Charles. Their marriage in 1981 had been celebrated as a fairy tale, but behind closed doors it was a different story. Charles's long-standing affection for Camilla Parker Bowles was one of the major factors that contributed to their eventual separation. Diana's candid revelations about their marriage, particularly in her interview with the BBC in 1995, further exposed the internal struggles of the royal family, making it clear that conflicts within the monarchy were far from over. The echoes of these past feuds still linger in the palace today, with a new focus on the relationship between Queen Camilla and Princess Kate. While their interactions appear cordial in public, those familiar with the inner workings of the monarchy suggest that there may be underlying tensions between them. The roots of this unease go back to the earliest days of Camilla's presence in the royal family, long before she officially married Charles. Camilla's relationship with Charles had always been a source of controversy. The two first met in 1970, long before Charles's marriage to Diana, and their bond remained strong over the years. Even after Charles wed Diana in 1981, his emotional attachment to Camilla never truly faded. By the early 1990s, their affair had become one of the most talked-about scandals in British history, with leaked phone conversations and media speculation fueling public outrage. The affair ultimately played a significant role in Charles and Diana's separation in 1992 and subsequent divorce in 1996. For many, Camilla's involvement in Charles's life was unforgivable. Diana's immense popularity meant that the public overwhelmingly sided with her, while Camilla was portrayed as the woman who had caused heartbreak and turmoil within the royal family. Even after Diana's tragic passing in 1997, negative sentiment toward Camilla remained strong. It was only in the early 2000s, following careful image rehabilitation and a slow integration into royal duties, that she began to gain acceptance. When Charles and Camilla finally married in 2005, it was done with a carefully calculated approach to avoid further controversy. Queen Elizabeth II herself had been hesitant about fully embracing Camilla's role in the monarchy. To avoid backlash, it was announced that Camilla would take on the title of Duchess of Cornwall rather than Princess of Wales, out of respect for Diana's legacy. This distinction was meant to soften public resistance, but it did little to erase the long history of tension associated with her presence in the royal family. Despite her official entry into the monarchy, Camilla continued to face hurdles in earning public trust. She worked diligently to support charitable causes, advocating for domestic abuse survivors, literacy programs, and osteoporosis awareness. These efforts gradually improved her image, but comparisons to Diana never fully disappeared. Even as she was officially crowned Queen Consort in May 2023, there remained a lingering division among royal watchers. Some accepted her as the rightful partner to King Charles, while others continued to view her as a controversial figure. Through all of this, Kate Middleton's rise within the royal family followed a completely different trajectory. Unlike Camilla, who faced skepticism for decades, Kate was widely embraced from the moment she became involved with Prince William. Her relationship with William began in the early 2000s, and by the time they married in 2011, she had already established herself as a beloved public figure. Kate's popularity only grew over the years, particularly due to her approachable nature and commitment to charitable work. She took on causes that resonated with modern Britain, from mental health advocacy to early childhood development. Her ability to engage with the public in a relatable and down-to-earth manner set her apart from previous royal figures. For many, she embodied a perfect balance between tradition and modernity, making her a key asset to the monarchy's future. The contrast between Camilla and Kate became increasingly apparent. While both were members of the royal family, their paths had been shaped by very different circumstances. Camilla had spent years trying to overcome a negative reputation, while Kate had effortlessly gained admiration. This difference in their journeys inevitably led to shifts in palace dynamics, creating an undercurrent of tension that would surface in subtle yet significant ways. As Kate's influence continued to grow, there were reports that Camilla had taken notice. Despite her title as Queen Consort, Camilla's presence within the monarchy was often overshadowed by Kate's popularity. Public opinion polls consistently showed Kate ranking as one of the most admired members of the royal family, while Camilla's approval ratings remained more mixed. These contrasts did not go unnoticed, and behind closed doors there were suggestions that Camilla may have felt uneasy about Kate's growing role. What many wondered was how King Charles viewed this dynamic. Having spent decades fighting for Camilla's acceptance, did he now recognize that his wife's influence within the monarchy was being challenged by Kate? Reports have suggested that Charles is aware of the shifting balance, though he remains careful in how he navigates the situation. His response to these developments may provide a glimpse into how the future of the monarchy will unfold. Camilla's journey within the royal family was never an easy one. Even after marrying Charles in 2005, the transition into her role as a senior royal came with its share of obstacles. Public skepticism remained, and while she gradually gained acceptance through her dedication to charitable causes, the past was never completely forgotten. For years, comparisons to Princess Diana continued to dominate discussions about her place in the monarchy. Yet despite the challenges, Camilla secured her role beside Charles and was eventually crowned as Queen Camilla during his coronation in May 2023. However, this newfound position did not eliminate all tensions within the royal family. One of the most discussed shifts in palace dynamics in recent years has been the evolving relationship between Camilla and Princess Kate. As Kate's public image soared, Camilla's presence, though official, seemed to remain secondary in the eyes of many royal watchers. This discrepancy did not go unnoticed, leading some to question whether Camilla saw Kate's growing influence as a direct challenge to her own status. From the very beginning, the contrast between Camilla and Kate was evident. Camilla's entry into the royal family was marred by controversy, while Kate's introduction was met with admiration. Kate represented a modern, approachable future for the monarchy, whereas Camilla was still working to redefine her legacy. These differences did not necessarily mean open conflict, but they did shape the way both women navigated their roles. Over the years, there have been subtle yet notable interactions that fueled speculation about an underlying strain between them. During formal events, their public exchanges have always remained civil, but there were moments that observers interpreted as indications of a more complex relationship behind closed doors. Some royal analysts pointed to occasions where Camilla appeared to distance herself from Kate in group settings, while others highlighted differences in how Charles interacted with both women. A significant moment that drew attention was during Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee celebrations in 2022. As senior royals gathered for the events, public enthusiasm for Kate was unmistakable. Every appearance she made was met with widespread applause and admiration, reinforcing her status as one of the most beloved members of the royal family. Camilla, though present at these engagements, did not command the same level of attention. While this may not have been an issue for some, it was hard to ignore the stark contrast between their receptions. Later, during King Charles III's coronation in 2023, the dynamics between Camilla and Kate once again became a topic of discussion. As the newly crowned queen, Camilla took her place beside Charles, fulfilling a role she had spent decades preparing for. However, despite the significance of the moment, Kate's presence at the ceremony remained a focal point for many. Her elegant composure and effortless grace stood out, leading to renewed speculation about how Camilla felt about being compared to her. Some reports suggested that in private, Camilla had begun to feel increasingly aware of Kate's rising popularity. While she had spent years working to establish herself, Kate had seamlessly won the hearts of the public. Even within the palace, there were discussions about how Kate's influence was shaping the modern image of the monarchy. Her ability to connect with people, especially younger generations, was seen as a crucial element in keeping the royal family relevant in an evolving society. Despite their differences, both women understood the importance of maintaining a united front. Publicly, they supported each other's initiatives and stood side by side during significant royal events. Yet, within the rigid structure of the monarchy, even the smallest shifts in influence could create tension. Camilla's role as queen consort was official, but Kate was increasingly being seen as the true future of the monarchy. The balance of power within the royal family had always been delicate, and Charles found himself in a position where he had to navigate these evolving dynamics carefully. Having spent years advocating for Camilla's acceptance, he was now faced with the reality that another woman, his daughter-in-law, was becoming the dominant female figure in the royal household. His response to this shift would not only shape his reign, but also determine how the monarchy adapted in the years to come. As Charles watched the dynamics unfold, there were indications that he was aware of the subtle tensions between Camilla and Kate. He had always maintained a close relationship with his son William, and by extension, Kate. Over the years, he had publicly praised Kate for her dedication to her royal duties and her commitment to her family. At the same time, he had worked tirelessly to ensure that Camilla was fully embraced as his queen. Balancing these two relationships was no easy task, especially when public perception favored one over the other. One of the most telling signs of this balancing act came in the way Charles structured official royal engagements. In recent months, there had been an increase in events where Camilla took center stage alongside the king. Some saw this as an effort to solidify her presence within the monarchy, ensuring that she was not overshadowed by Kate's growing influence. At the same time, Kate continued to take on more high-profile engagements, further cementing her role in the future of the institution. For those observing the situation closely, the question remained: was Charles actively trying to prevent tension from escalating, or was he simply allowing the natural order of the monarchy to take shape? Either way, the reality was becoming clear. The balance of power within the royal family was shifting, and whether Camilla was prepared for it or not, Kate's influence was only growing stronger. From the moment Kate Middleton stepped into the royal spotlight, comparisons between her and other senior female royals were inevitable. The most immediate parallel drawn was between Kate and Princess Diana, largely due to Kate's effortless charm, natural poise, and ability to connect with the public in a way that felt sincere rather than rehearsed. However, another comparison that quietly emerged over the years was with Queen Camilla. Unlike Diana, who was adored by the public from the beginning, Camilla had to work against decades of negative press to find her place in the monarchy. In many ways, the difference in how Kate and Camilla were received shaped the underlying dynamics between them. Camilla and Kate were both outsiders who married into the royal family, yet their experiences within the institution were starkly different. Camilla's entrance into royal life came with decades of scrutiny, stemming from her well-documented affair with Charles during his marriage to Diana. By the time she officially married Charles in 2005, she had already spent years navigating an uphill battle for public acceptance. Kate, on the other hand, experienced a much smoother transition. As William's longtime partner before their wedding in 2011, she was already a familiar and well-liked figure. Her background, while not aristocratic, was never controversial. Instead, she was seen as a modern, relatable figure who represented a new era for the royal family. This difference in reception had a lasting impact on their public roles. Camilla spent years working to redefine her image, often focusing on causes related to domestic abuse awareness, literacy, and osteoporosis research. Her role within the royal family was always functional, rather than glamorous. She rarely sought the spotlight and often carried out engagements without fanfare. Kate, on the other hand, naturally became a prominent figure in the monarchy's evolution. With her focus on early childhood development, mental health advocacy, and her ability to engage with people across all walks of life, she was embraced as the face of a modernized royal family. Personality-wise, their differences became even clearer. Camilla had always maintained a reserved, practical approach to royal life. She was known for her dry wit and ability to put people at ease in private settings, but she rarely sought public adoration. She understood that she was never going to be a universally loved figure and, in many ways, accepted that reality. Kate, by contrast, was naturally warm and approachable in public settings. Whether attending a royal engagement or meeting ordinary citizens, she had the ability to make those around her feel at ease. Her connection to the late Queen Elizabeth II was also an important factor in shaping her public image. The Queen reportedly admired Kate's steadiness and quiet strength, qualities that made her a reassuring presence within the royal fold. Despite these differences, the two women shared common ground in their understanding of duty. Both recognized the responsibilities that came with their positions and the necessity of maintaining stability within the royal household. Publicly, there was no indication of open hostility between them. They attended events together, supported the same causes on occasion, and remained professional at all times. However, there were subtle indications that Camilla may have felt uneasy about the way Kate's role was evolving. One of the most telling moments came in the months leading up to Queen Elizabeth II's passing in September 2022. As the royal family prepared for a transition in leadership, it became clear that Kate and William were stepping into a more central role. The Queen's trust in Kate was evident, and her decision to grant her the title of Princess of Wales after her passing only solidified her position. For Camilla, who had spent years securing her own place, this shift may have reinforced the reality that Kate's influence would soon eclipse her own. The coronation of King Charles III in May 2023 further highlighted this dynamic. While the event was meant to mark Camilla's official place as queen, much of the public attention remained on Kate. Dressed in an elegant regal ensemble, she commanded the spotlight in a way that felt effortless. Her interactions with the public, the grace with which she carried herself, and the presence of her children only reinforced her position as a beloved future queen. Reports suggest that Camilla was not entirely comfortable with this. While there was no open conflict, some sources indicated that she had expressed frustration about being overshadowed. Unlike Kate, whose popularity was immediate and lasting, Camilla had spent decades working toward acceptance. The idea that she could be outshined on one of the most significant days of her life may not have been easy to accept. King Charles, aware of the dynamics between the two women, had to navigate this situation carefully. He had always been protective of Camilla, ensuring that she was given the recognition she deserved. At the same time, he understood the importance of Kate's role in the monarchy's future. His approach, therefore, was one of balance. He continued to place Camilla in prominent positions alongside him, but he also ensured that Kate was given the space to grow into her role as the next queen consort. The differences in their public reception, their personalities, and their journeys within the royal family all contributed to the quiet tension that surrounded them. Camilla was the present, but Kate was the future. The monarchy had always been built on a hierarchy of influence, and while Camilla held a significant role as Charles's wife, Kate's growing presence was undeniable. The question that remained was whether Camilla would fully embrace this reality, or if the subtle rivalry between them would continue to shape the internal dynamics of the royal family. For now, their relationship remained outwardly cordial, but the undercurrents of competition were difficult to ignore. Charles, watching from his position as king, had to determine how to ensure both women felt valued without allowing their differences to create further division within the monarchy. As the monarchy continued its transition under King Charles, the subtle shift in influence between Camilla and Kate became more apparent. While Camilla had finally secured her place as queen, Kate's increasing prominence in royal affairs made her an undeniable force within the institution. Public admiration for the Princess of Wales had only grown, and as she took on more responsibilities, some began to speculate whether Camilla felt overshadowed. Unlike past tensions within the royal family, this was not an outright rivalry, but rather an unspoken competition for public recognition and influence. Camilla had always understood that her journey within the royal family would be different from those before her. Having entered the monarchy under controversial circumstances, she knew that she would never have the same level of public devotion that Queen Elizabeth II or Princess Diana had commanded. However, she had worked tirelessly to gain acceptance, dedicating herself to charitable causes and fulfilling royal duties with diligence. Even so, the public's perception had not entirely shifted. While she had become a respected figure within the royal family, she was never widely adored. Kate, on the other hand, had naturally won the admiration of the public. Every appearance she made, every speech she delivered, and every initiative she led reinforced her role as the future of the monarchy. Her work in early childhood development, mental health advocacy, and community outreach had positioned her as a modern, relatable royal figure. With each passing year, she became more integral to the institution, and it became clear that her influence extended far beyond her official title. For Camilla, the challenge was not simply about public perception, but about ensuring that her role as queen remained firmly established. Unlike Queen Elizabeth II, whose authority was unquestioned throughout her 70-year reign, Camilla's position was still evolving. Despite her title, there were still discussions about whether she would ever truly be embraced as the rightful queen. Some royal experts even suggested that she was mindful of the fact that Kate's increasing popularity could pose a challenge to her own presence within the royal hierarchy. The shift in dynamics became especially noticeable in the months following Charles's coronation. While Camilla had been at the center of the event alongside the king, it was Kate's presence that had captivated much of the public's attention. Her grace and composure throughout the ceremony, as well as her effortless connection with the people, reinforced her role as the monarchy's next great figurehead. This contrast between Camilla's hard-earned acceptance and Kate's natural appeal was not lost on those observing from within the palace. Behind the scenes, there were reports of Camilla becoming more conscious of her position. While she maintained a composed public image, sources close to the royal family suggested that she had privately acknowledged the growing influence of Kate. Some even speculated that she had expressed concerns about being overshadowed, particularly as Kate took on more high-profile engagements. The challenge for Camilla was balancing her role as queen without appearing to compete with the future queen consort. King Charles, aware of the complexities within his household, had taken a careful approach to managing the situation. Having spent decades defending Camilla's place in his life, he was now faced with a new reality. His wife's role, though significant, was being gradually outshined by his daughter-in-law. He understood that Kate's growing influence was necessary for the monarchy's longevity, especially as the institution faced modern challenges. However, he also recognized the importance of ensuring that Camilla did not feel diminished in her role. Some insiders suggested that Charles had made subtle adjustments to balance the dynamics. For instance, there was a noticeable increase in solo engagements for Camilla following the coronation, allowing her to establish herself independently from Kate and William. At the same time, Kate was given a more visible platform, reflecting her natural position as the monarchy's future. These carefully planned arrangements indicated an effort to maintain harmony while acknowledging the unavoidable reality. Kate was the royal family's most beloved figure, and that was unlikely to change. Public opinion polls only reinforced this shift. Surveys conducted in the months after the coronation showed that Kate remained one of the most admired members of the royal family, while Camilla's approval ratings remained steady but did not see a significant rise. This difference was particularly evident during royal visits and public engagements, where the reactions from crowds often favored Kate. While Camilla had worked hard to gain respect, she had not reached the level of admiration that Kate had achieved effortlessly. For those watching the royal family's internal workings, the question was not whether Camilla and Kate could coexist, but rather how the monarchy would balance their roles moving forward. Historically, royal power struggles had often led to lasting divisions, but Charles was determined to prevent such a scenario. He had seen firsthand how internal discord had affected the monarchy in the past, particularly during his marriage to Diana. Now, as king, he sought to ensure that history did not repeat itself. Yet despite his best efforts, the difference in influence between Camilla and Kate was undeniable. While Camilla held the title of queen, Kate was increasingly seen as the true embodiment of the monarchy's future. Her connection with the public, her ability to modernize royal traditions, and her unwavering dedication to her duties placed her in a position of unprecedented influence. This was not a deliberate attempt to overshadow Camilla, but rather a natural progression shaped by public sentiment and generational change. As these dynamics continued to evolve, one question lingered. How would Charles navigate this unspoken competition between his wife and his daughter-in-law? Would he continue to carefully balance their roles, or would circumstances eventually force a shift in how the monarchy was structured? While there was no immediate indication of conflict, the subtle tensions remained, shaping the future of the royal family in ways that few had anticipated. Despite the careful balancing act within the monarchy, the contrast between Camilla and Kate had become impossible to ignore. The public had made its preference clear. While Camilla was respected as the wife of King Charles, Kate was embraced as the future face of the British royal family. For Charles, this presented a delicate situation. Having fought for decades to secure Camilla's rightful place by his side, he now had to contend with the reality that his daughter-in-law's growing popularity could further diminish Camilla's role. Those close to the royal family suggested that Charles had taken notice of this shift, though his response remained measured. He had always been aware of Kate's influence and had publicly praised her dedication to her duties on numerous occasions. At the same time, he had been steadfast in his commitment to ensuring Camilla's place in the monarchy was firmly established. The challenge was finding a way to allow both women to thrive without creating unnecessary tension. Camilla, for her part, had continued to carry out her responsibilities without outwardly expressing any discontent. She had long understood that winning over the public would never be easy, and she had accepted that she would always have critics. However, there was an undeniable reality. No matter how much work she put into her role, she would never command the level of affection that Kate did. Some royal commentators suggested that while Camilla may not have seen Kate as a direct rival, she was certainly aware of the shifting power dynamics. The monarchy had always functioned on a system of hierarchy, but influence within the royal family had often been dictated by more than just titles. Queen Elizabeth II had maintained her authority through her unwavering dedication to duty and her ability to command respect without seeking attention. Diana, though never a queen, had left an indelible mark on the monarchy simply through her ability to connect with people in a way that few royals ever had. Now, Kate was stepping into a similar role, not as someone who challenged the institution, but as someone who shaped its future through her presence alone. For Charles, this was a complicated reality. He had spent much of his life fighting for public acceptance, first as the Prince of Wales and later as Camilla's husband. Now, as king, his priority was ensuring the stability of the monarchy. He knew that Kate's growing influence was an asset, not a threat, but at the same time, he needed to maintain a sense of unity within his family. This was particularly evident in the way he structured official royal engagements. In recent months, there had been an effort to position Camilla in more visible roles, ensuring that she was seen as an active and essential part of the monarchy. At the same time, Kate continued to be given high-profile responsibilities, reinforcing her role as a key figure in the future of the institution. It was a delicate balance, one that required careful planning to avoid any perception of internal division. Some insiders suggested that Charles had privately acknowledged the challenges that came with these dynamics. While he had always been protective of Camilla, he also recognized the inevitability of Kate's rise. His approach, therefore, was one of quiet management, allowing Kate to grow into her role while ensuring that Camilla was not sidelined. This approach had so far prevented any major public tensions, but the undercurrents remained. The monarchy was an institution built on tradition, but it was also constantly evolving. The reality was that Kate represented the future in a way that no one else in the family did. She was young, modern, and deeply connected with the public, making her an invaluable asset to the monarchy's survival in a rapidly changing world. The real question was how long this balance could be maintained. Charles had always been a pragmatic leader, aware of the importance of adapting to the times. He had seen how public opinion could shape the course of the monarchy, and he understood that embracing change was essential. However, there were limits to how much could be controlled. As Kate continued to take on more responsibilities, the inevitable transition of power within the royal family would become more apparent. Camilla, though firmly in her role as queen, would eventually take on a less prominent position, much like Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, had done in the years following her husband's passing. Kate, on the other hand, would continue to grow in influence, becoming the face of the monarchy for a new generation. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.